Ta-da. I bet
Hello,
people
hello.
thought I bet people thought that the world had ended and astrology was just no more because we weren't doing astrology and alchemy anymore. But here we
I got
are.
mess- I got messages from people asking if we were not doing it anymore.
Yeah. Um, I think a lot of it's spring break, guys. Matt's spring break and my spring break are a little different, but we're each doing our best to get those taken care of and then also work, but also to bring you the show each and all the times. And we're so glad that you're joining us if you do and are able to tune in and catch the show. Astrology and Alchemy with Matt and myself. Hi, Samantha. Hi, Ruth. All the people already joining in the chat room. We're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. We're on all the places online. And we do need to cover this last week of March because I think yesterday's moon and the beginning of this lunar eclipse phase that's going to push us into a solar eclipse on the 8th. That's, end of the world as we know it, according to some people. But do you have your glasses yet? You can get them at like,
I have 'em right next to me. Yeah, we're traveling
yes.
in. I'm going to Ohio.
Are you really?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought,
And this is the thing I see because I think we probably have some of the same crowd. The conspiracy stuff that something awful is going to happen. When you read the simple explanation, and especially if you talk to somebody that traveled in 2017 for it, they say that the traffic is horrific and like they're expecting like no like awful thing. They're just expecting simple things like convenience stores to run out of gas and food because of the amount of traffic.
yeah, people do, and they flock to those areas. And on top of that, campaign war. On top of that, the state of the world as we know it. And then on top of that, just spring weather kind of craziness. And then, man, you're right. The conspiracy world has gone really crazy awry on what it could be. The days of darkness, the 3 days of darkness, Matthew. Um, but as far as astrology goes, I think lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, it's a residual connection to how delicate we are. I mean, I think about the civilizations and tribes that don't operate on the internet and still use, Earth and cardinal navigation, and that how these shifts are happening and all of Elon's star stuff, all the fake trash in the sky. Like, how does it affect those really indigenous communities that rely on the stars? What do they think of those changes? Um, Eclipses. It's funny how it affects like you and I in first world countries, maybe a little bit more than it affects indigenous ones these days. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Um, but yeah, I'm
No, it was a
excited
bucket.
about
It was a bucket list thing
yeah.
for me,
It's
so that's why I'm going to go. Yeah, I'll drive and see it because
yeah,
I'm going to be ancient by the time the next one comes. So
we're gonna
no
have to be
guarantee
tough
I'm even
hearted.
going to be here, let alone be able to travel.
Right. Ugh, when you make it, yeah. Okay, so those of you in the chat, Field Guy, Ruth, Jenny, Sam, everybody, let us know what are your plans for the eclipse. Now, this is, of course, on April 8th, which we're not going to get to that tonight. We're only doing the next 7 days. And if we can get through the 7 days very quickly, I know that those of you tuning in also want a tarot reading or divination reading. Carson, we can get that done for you. Ruth, we can get that done for you. Just let us know. Lots of change, lots of transition, lots of springtime things, lots of all kinds of things I'm seeing in the air, all kinds of change, career, promotion, moving, identity shifting. It's that age of Aquarius. We've been telling people about this, Matt, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
We've been telling you guys about this for years. Here we are. What does it mean when you talk about putting emotion, Aquarius, into the air? Reputation, P Diddy's house getting raided, just craziness in the news, just the way people's lives are going to get flipped inside out, and how that kind of affects us. So yesterday was a full moon, lunar eclipse in Libra. If you guys were out dancing naked under the moon or doing something, let us know. I think in eclipse space in Libra, a lot of balance, a lot of regulation, a lot of just trying to make it work. Um, I don't know. How, did you feel like it affected you, Matt?
No, I was actually very I was, I guess, a prenumbral. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Eclipse. So I actually woke up to go outside to see it, and I was profoundly disappointed. The moon didn't look very different to me.
Yeah, I couldn't see it because we were in this stupid storm, so I felt like, "Ugh."
It was a little
um,
anticlimactic. I didn't realize. I was thinking it was a total eclipse, and it wasn't. And so when it came out, and I'm like, oh, yeah,
hmm,
it just kind of
yeah,
looks like a full moon.
yeah,
So
and
yeah, I
not a
wouldn't have
whole
known.
lot. I wouldn't have known either had no one told me. I wouldn't have been able to see it. Anticlimactic is a good word, but I would say if anybody is feeling lethargic, those solar flares, those solar storms, magnetic storms, wow, the Mother Nature doing some quaking and shaking. And as far as astrology following this full moon phase, many people say they can feel that pressure and shift for a good 24 hours before and after in that window, the moon window. So you can still run and put your water out, people, if you've forgotten. Um, but that today, as far as the astrology goes, the day after, nothing major is happening. I say nothing major. There's a lot of quintile, quincux, second tile, quux kyle, things like that. But nothing major. A lot of it is just the moon. The moon kind of coming through the Libra phase as it dings over Uranus and Venus and Mercury and kind of goes through that space. Um, Nothing major. So for today, nothing, guys. But tomorrow, March 27th, what do we have? The moon waning at this point in Scorpio. Oh man, it moves into Scorpio tomorrow. It does. And it's going to be squaring off with, and this is kind of one of those when we talk about it. Boom. Ruth, of course, asking thinks, um, as Matt thinks on the squaring of Pluto in Aquarius. Anytime Pluto does anything, that's a life shift. That's a big
Big.
shift. That's a big thing. And then Ruth and other people in the chat room even asking, like, hey, what happened today? What do you think of your opinions on what happened today? Wondering if you're referring to the Baltimore Bridge. Hmm. Lots of discussion on that. I think that that goes into, and let's spin it into, why not? The moon waning in Scorpio, squaring off with Pluto in Aquarius. Matt, what should we expect from this kind of energy?
Well, Pluto's always big, as we said. Square is conflict. Moon is always fleeting energy. So this is going to be big, but not as big as some things could be. So I say Moon in Scorpio. That's your moon's your inner world, your emotional world. Scorpio is intense, but it's a lot of internal intensity. You don't necessarily know what's cooking. So I'd say what people really feel emotionally inside, the general changes and things going on in the world are going to not be um, coherent or consistent with where you want to be emotionally. So I feel like just news, things going on in general course of life is going to be emotionally upsetting tomorrow to folks,
Mm.
which might mean there's going to be some more upsetting news tomorrow.
When
So
I
hold
think,
your horses.
yeah,
Today may have been bad. Just wait, there's more.
just wait, there's more. Um, and I'm always, doing my best at least to try and look a little bit more at the numbers because I know that numerology plays quite heavily into some of this, though I'm not always paying much attention to the numerology. But the number 47 comes up really big tomorrow. And anytime when I think of that Aquarius emotional space in the air, I think, yeah, this is going to be news. This is going to be reputation. This is going to be continued hearing from people, the stirring of the dramatic pot. If you're hearing from exes, if you're hearing from ex family members, if you're hearing from toxic people that are just coming out of the woodwork and you're like, where in the world are these people coming from? It's life change where people are going, you know what? Before I completely become this other person, I want to seal up these loose ends. I want to see what this person's doing. I want to just check real quick before I maybe completely disconnect, avoid, change, maneuver, shift, navigate, whatever those verbs are for the different people and their energies. Um, Emotional stirring of the pot. I expect there to be some tomorrow.
And
Um,
I'd say, as a general rule, the farther out you go planet wise, the more bigger, impersonal, and profound the changes. So when you have like outer planets having aspects to each other, they stay. Those aspects stay longer because the planets move slower, and they're bigger shifts. So this is Pluto's huge, and then the moon's really quick. So I'd say this is just a watch the news, but I expect something emotionally disturbing or troubling in the news tomorrow.
disturbing or troubling. Yeah,
Which I'm
something.
not saying that as a huge prediction. So anybody, because I know people go, well, that's a pretty general thing to say. Yeah, I'm not, but I'm just saying it's a general
Yeah.
thing. There's going to be something more upsetting than normal tomorrow.
Well, and I would say this is an opportunity for those people listening to really use your own intuition, where we don't want to give too much suggestion to things. This isn't a prediction show. This is a do you hear the frequency? We're playing Sebastian Bach, not Linkin Park, but sometimes they kind of sound the same. They use the same chords and notes, but it's a completely different mood, genre, and music. So being able to kind of feel the soundtrack and know how that's going to affect people, you can decide, you know what? I'm not going to let that affect me. That's not the vibe I want to be on. I want to have more of a locus of control in my life. It's not meant to be a blame game or anything like that, but really a perspective, an omnipotent additional third party. It's Mother Nature's perspective. How is this going to
Yeah.
affect us?
And we and
Um,
we all have free will. So these are just like energetic nudges. It's not like you're forced, it's not like anybody's forced into these things, but it's just kind of knowing what's kind of energetically cooking in the background.
right. And for those questions, what should we do about these people coming into our life and out of the woodwork? And oh my gosh, 47 has been popping up a ton to me, says Carson. Um, what do you do for those people popping up as they go through life change, Matt?
I'd like, I don't want to like her to divulge any, private information or anything, but I'm curious the context of what she's asking. Like, I could take that a bunch of different ways. Like, is it for the eclipse? Is it just a whole bunch of
Is
people
it
jumping into your life? If it's just people in general jumping into your life, I would say, look for align with those that seem to be aligned and feed your spirit and soul, and those that are disruptive and hurt your energy and things, try to distance yourself.
right? If they're not in alignment with what you're doing, say, no way, Jose, I don't need this energy in my life. And if it's with an alignment with what you're doing, then cool, wave along. I think it's going to be interesting. But that's all that we need to look forward to tomorrow. Big emotional stuff, perhaps, maybe in the news. But March 28th, so this is going to be Thursday, and we're nearing the end of the month. So it's kind of exciting. Venus in Pisces. So I'm thinking feminine energy, female power in Pisces. Water, 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 water. Sextile Uranus, the crazy, wild, weird planet, always the Winona Ryder of the group, in Taurus and Earth. So water and Earth. What do we do?
Makes mud.
Yeah.
Um, so sextile is kind of removing obstacles. Again, for anybody that might be new, I always approach these. I don't know if you see. I used to have these as a kid, but I was old, or I'm old. There's these books that would have like stories, but you could change. Like the book would be in 3 spots, and you could change like the 3 spots, and it would change like the story. That's how I view all this. Is you have the first planet, you have the aspect, and you have the next planet, and it kind of tells the story. So, and I kind of go backwards here. So, Uranus is the rebel, Taurus is stable and indulgent. So I've been characterizing this, and Uranus has been in Taurus ever since we've done the show. So this has not changed. I view it's rebelling by not doing. So, you're showing how you want to change and mix things up by just not doing something you normally would do in some circumstance. Venus, obviously, romance can also be money. Pisces, the last sign in the cycle. So I would say this is kind of like end of life, deathbed perspective. This is, my time here is almost gone, so I'm willing to take one for the team or do something for the benefit of others. So I view this as, this is a very giving romantic energy. Kind of willing to, but it's kind of sacrificial. So you got to make sure that there isn't like bitterness down the road from those sacrifices. But it's basically, I feel it's like sacrifice in relationships, and that's eliminating obstacles to basically not doing something you normally would do. So normally I'd say this isn't rebellious, but I think this is actually like a positive thing in terms of something that somebody may do in a relationship that is troubling the other partner. They may be all of a sudden, hey, I'm not going to do that.
Right. Being a little bit more spontaneous, impulsive. Okay, here I go. I'm going to add a little bit of icing onto this cake, Matt. What?
Go for it.
Well, we've got water and earth making mud in this kind of space to be impulsive. But then alongside that, on Thursday, the moon waning, getting less and less emotional, less and less. Come on, guys. But in Scorpio, trine Saturn in Pisces. And it's also opposite Jupiter in Taurus. The moon opposite Jupiter in Taurus. So there's all of these weird triangles happening in the space where moon in Scorpio, Saturn in Pisces, and those are trine with each other. How do we add that onto the mix?
Trine's kind of synergy. Already explained Pisces and the moon in Scorpio, but Saturn's kind of rules. And so Pisces, Saturn and Pisces, I view this as, now my dogs are going to go nuts. Kind of what, again, rules with more willing to take one for the team. So, this rule or this change may not benefit me, but I'm willing to do it because I think it's for the greater good. This is emotional, maybe what's cooking intensely emotionally with people kind of aligns well, that it just feels like it's the right thing to do. So I feel there is this like self-sacrificial energy in that aspect. Then for Jupiter, Jupiter I always say is like opportunity. So it's the car opening up, driving by, and they open up and go hop in, and the destination is the sign. So this is not, Jupiter and Taurus is not a good combo because Taurus is very, very indulgent, and Jupiter is, sure, why not, very, very indulgent. So opposite is not in opposition, as weird as it sounds. It's because they're on 180 degrees from each other. So I say it's like tension between them. So this is like that emotional intensity having tension with just wanting to indulge. So it's, if you picture almost that little battle, or I picture like the little cartoons with the angel and devil on each shoulder. I really want to indulge and do this, even though it's not really good for me, but emotionally it probably feels like it's a bad thing to do. And so that tension.
I love that because I do. I think of the little angel and devil in like Tom and Jerry. Really, really kind of cool. I think that's kind of funny. So I'm looking at Friday, already knowing that you're like, okay, people might be going overboard. We need to even be careful that we ourselves do not go overboard. Mentioning the coming comet, different than an asteroid, but the Devil's Comet aligning itself with April 8th's solar eclipse, so that we might not only have darkness in the sky, but something streaking across it. Woo! That'll be cool.
Why do they call it the Devil's Comet? I have to look that up.
Because of the shape of it, it actually has 2 points on it. So instead of being like a round meteor-looking thing with a tail, it actually has 2 little points in the front of it that gives it the look that it has horns.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just based on how it looks, and it circles around like however many few hundred years, right? It's not the first time we've seen it. Hopefully it won't be the last. But that's going to be relevant to our astrology. You guys tune in next week and we'll talk about it. But this Friday, as again, we've started just yesterday, the full moon partial lunar eclipse. This is the eclipse phase, and there's a series of them. And we're getting a ton of asteroids and all of these things coming into our space. And on Friday, there is an asteroid, the largest in the asteroid belt. And it's, I always mess it up. I know it's not Pallas. It's German, but it's named after Athena. So it's actually Greek, but the goddess of wisdom, Pallas, if it would be Greek. Um, but shortly after Ceres. So a lot of people will mention Ceres, cool, but we're getting some interesting asteroid energy, and it's kind of highlighting Sagittarius. And there was this mention that, hey, on Friday the 29th, you have one major thing happening, and it's something, if you guys tune in frequently, you'll know I hate this when this happens. This is going to be something that moves. But also, over the next several weeks, look before you leap, because that Sagittarius, that blind spot, that target practice shooting, I always think of Robin Hood and someone shooting through your arrow. Be aware. Don't don't get too crazy. Don't leap and be froggy. And just knowing what Matt said for Thursday night, it makes me a little nervous for Friday morning. It makes me a little nervous for Friday morning. And then you add the normal astrological this. I'm going to put it in the chat room. So for those people joining us live, they get to see it a little bit. Um, Nashoba. What a beautiful name. Nashoba. Nashoba. That's how I would say it. Who knows if I'm saying that right? Really cool name though. Love that tattoo of the little devil and little angel. I also wish I had my Medley Tarot deck. They've got the little angel and devil from the Looney Tunes that's super cute, like the little Mickey Mouse and Minnie Mouse. They're so cute.
Yeah.
But so Friday afternoon, the only major thing happening, astrological, aside from that asteroid in Sagittarius, is that the moon continuing to wane in Scorpio, trine Neptune and Pisces. Wah, wah, wah. How do we feel about that?
Your your favorite. So it's in, Neptune's in its home sign. So, but yeah, it's Neptune's dreamy delusion. Things I always say it's foggy. Things aren't what they seem when it's in that spot. So I feel like it's having wrong information. Seeing what you want to see as opposed to what's real. So where this gets bad is you have this emotional intensity having synergy with kind of delusions. So this is one of those. Did you say it's Friday?
Friday.
Yeah. So this is one of these. I'll clarify this. This is bad decision Friday. This is one where things might emotionally feel like this is the right thing to do, but you're going to be basing that on bad information. So I
Information
do not
is
make big decisions on Friday. And yes, Ruth, you can ask a question.
and I'm actually going to use the neurolinguistics on this for any divinators out there joining us. I would say the word might be spoiled on Friday. And what exactly that means as we engage in our impulses, our materialism, gotta have right now. I want it now. And what that does to us, to be very, very careful about the hand that's feeding us and the skepticism of our goals. Nashoba says it is American Indian for wolf. Dang, that is so cool. Um, Sarah is colonial English for princess. Um, Matthew. What is Matthew? Man of
I knew it.
prayer? No.
No, I knew it. No, I don't.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Um, see,
Gift of God.
the gift of
That's what I
God.
thought, but I didn't want to be.
Ah, the gift of God. Yeah, princess and wife of Abel in the Bible, right, Matt? I'm the wife of Abel. Sarah?
Yes.
Yeah,
No,
right.
you're the wife of Abraham.
Abraham. Dang, I need to remember my husband's. Abraham. Um, so Ruth says, man, what is going on? Well, let's get through the astrology if we can, as far as like politically and in the realm and what is going on in the catastrophe of the realm. I don't know if anyone's been watching Netflix, The Three Body Problem. Holy moly, I really love it. And it's been talking about quantum mechanics and the matrix and string theory and how aliens have integrated our AI, and they did it a long time ago. And I just love it. I love dystopic sci-fi because some of it really is happening. It really is not fantasy anymore. And that kind of stuff is both scary and exciting sometimes. So we can get into a little bit of that, but that's the age of Aquarius when we had recently shared last year, and that the series of astrological events where it lines up in such a way that these are the fall of the Republic. These are the fall of great empires. These are the times that throughout history, major significant change has taken place. And we expect it to be from now. What it started a while ago, but really shifting over Pluto into Aquarius just in the last 6 months, really, because it's a slow move over that line. Um, and then June 2027 might be the
27 or 26. Whenever Neptune goes into Aries, that's when I feel like the top blows off.
yeah, and it's going to be crazy.
Something bad is going to happen.
So we're in the middle of that, and we're in that space. But Friday, the only thing we need to take it just one day at a time, guys. So 7 days at a time in our case here on Astrology and Alchemy. But on Friday, you've just got that to look forward to, right? Just the uncertainty and skepticisms of our own goals, which never makes one feel very good about things. Like, should I be doing that? I don't know. Should I? Well, you can do anything, but can I? But like, it's the, you know what I mean? So we're going to be feeling a lot of that. Take that as you will. For Saturday, March 30th, only really one thing. I did share a link in the chat. There's 100 things always happening in the stars as far as all the things we could mention, but we're keeping to the main stuff, guys. And the main thing that's going to be happening on Saturday, March 30th, is that the moon waning in Sagittarius, waning in that fire sign, squaring off with, I say square, Mars in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces. The moon squaring off with Saturn in Pisces as well. So you've got Mars and Saturn in Pisces squaring off with the moon in a fire sign. How do we work with that?
I hope I don't just, I hope I don't need to log out of this. I, for some reason, got some ad for some Microsoft thing that is popped up and totally blocked my screen right now.
Oh,
And it's not letting me get out of it.
no.
This is ridiculous. There we go. Hopefully it goes away. There we go.
Okay.
I just had to get it where it would give me an X that I could get out of it. So I apologize. I could not see anybody. Moon in Sag, square Mars in Pisces. So yeah, wow, we're getting a lot of different planets, but same signs. So Mars is action, it's male energy. God of war. So just think more, action. And that is square, which is kind of conflict with moon and Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the explorer. It's, let's try different things. So emotionally, you might want to go out and try different things, but you are going to be in conflict with this, again, sacrificial energy. So I view this almost like I want to do something, but doing it's going to have some negative effect on someone I care about, and therefore I'm conflicted and probably don't want to do it.
I can see this.
I'm feeling a lot of emotional conflict this week.
There is, and eclipse times are emotional times. Back, our ancestors were up there going, dang, find our whitest goat, find our coolest kid, and throw them off the top of the mountain, because we're having days of darkness. We're having the moon shifting. We're having Mother Earth quaking. We're having all sorts of weird people doing weird things, and stuff just doesn't feel right. And our electronics are acting up. Our internet's going out. Solar flares. It makes you so tired, so fatigued, nauseous. Some people just puking, their bodies aching, the weather crazy. You guys, this is pretty normal for that false winter push, but also for magnetic solar storms, but also for something like this where we're having some big water shifts in the constellations. The sky's in a bunch of emotional, watery spaces. It's like we're all hormonal running around here like we were in middle school saying that it's the worst day of our lives, when in fact, maybe it's not. We want to go do this, but the rules and regulations have always said this. So we're going to do these things anyway. And then we're going to have consequences that we maybe don't like, but maybe it's worth it. But like that resistance is real. How are you going to deal with that? What decisions are you making? And do you have the energy to deal with the consequences? Mm, mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm. Saturday. That's going to be, let's just keep moving with the emotions. March 31st. Another asteroid. What? One of the third largest asteroids. Another asteroid coming into our sky. We're getting a lot of big ones coming in. Again, I think of these in indigenous spaces or our ancestors looking up to the sky and thinking, how did that shift their vibe, their feeling, their lifestyle? How did that shift what they were doing that day? Sunday, March 31st, the last day of March. That's Easter. What? Easter? Yeah, let me go ahead and put that down there. So for those people that receive this email when we're done, this is Easter Sunday, and the asteroid Vesta is entering into Cancer. So we're moving from a fire asteroid to now the asteroid that we look up and direct our energy to is in Cancer, the sacred flame of the home fire burning over the next several weeks in Cancer, suggesting the time to build a stable foundation for your loved ones and put down sacred roots. But then a bunch of crap is happening with the moon, Matt, and I want to throw it to you because it's the moon in Sagittarius. So the moon in a fire sign, and it's squaring off with Venus in Pisces. I'm going to put this in the chat. Boom. This happens Sunday morning. And then the rest of the evening. Oh, don't do that, Sarah. How do I undo what I just did? Look at that. I did it. I did it, guys. I did something. I pressed a button and undid it. But then the rest of the evening, you're going to get this. So in the chat, I've shared Sunday morning, you're getting Moon and Sagittarius squaring with Venus and Pisces. So that Venus and Pisces again.
Mm-hmm.
Female, art, money.
Yeah,
Is this a
so
good day or
that's
bad
that's
day?
going to be very similar to the Mars in Pisces. Just the difference is I'm going to say that it's more of a relationship thing. That hey, I would like to do this thing, but it would I don't want to say hurt. That's probably too strong of a word, but it would have a negative impact on my partner or someone I care about. Therefore, I have a conflict.
Take others into account to avoid conflict. Consider their perspectives and have some extra empathy in that romantic space. Empathy for romance. Consider how that works. It's also the moon in Sagittarius, trine Mercury in Aries.
So this is funny because I'm going to say, given you have that conflict, both in some action that might hurt someone and then the romantic space that might hurt someone, the fact that the moon is trine in Mercury and Aries is impulsive and just sure, let's just do it. You're still going to say what you were thinking of doing. So you still might end up, having negative results or, kind of hurting someone's feelings, but you're not going to actually do it. So, yeah, be careful what you say because you're going to have the impulse to go ahead and say what you're thinking of doing anyway. So, like, I know you're not going to like this, but I'm thinking about doing this. And then,
I like this because you can hear it, can't you? You can hear this in the relationship on Sunday evening. Hey, I'm going to go ahead and go do this without you. What do you mean you're going to do this without me? Okay, you know what? Never mind. I'm not going to. I'm just saying I needed to maybe get some space and do that. Like, you're going to say the thing, maybe not end up doing the thing, but you're going to have announced it and declared it anyway, and there's probably still going to be the argument.
it could be a dumb thing. Just like, I think, I want to buy another car
I'd like
or,
to get another car. I want goats.
our tax money. I want to go just blow it all on my own hobby or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
It could be a lot of different things, but So
Stupid.
I think it's funny because I feel like that moon in Sagittarius, like they're gonna weigh it, and be like, nah, I can't do it. It would just be too hurtful. And then
And
they'll
then
still go
add,
ahead and say, I was really thinking of doing this, but they're gonna have all the negative stuff happen anyway.
and then add right there at the very bottom that it's squaring off with Neptune and Pisces.
Yes, good question here. Every part of our life, right? Yeah. Well, the Venus, I'd say Venus is generally more money and romantic things. I usually go on romantic when it's the Venus piece, but it could be a financial discussion and argument as well. Those are kind of the two ends of the Venus one. Mars is just general. Mars is more action, so it's just what you're going to do. So I'm just kind of connecting all these and saying it's an action. It's an action that will more than likely either have a financial impact, a impact on a relationship, or both. And even if you decide that you're not going to do it, you're still going to end up sharing that you were thinking about doing it. So that's the energetic nudge.
And all of that together means Sunday is a day to kick back, do whatever it is you do to get on a frequency that allows you to be a little bit more casual and less argumentative. And go ahead and expect that there might be some interesting vibes out there and that we are all extra emotional in this eclipse space and turbulent societal time. And I do say that with like extra caution, as there are all sorts of avenues spiritually, emotionally, in our health and our weather that just feel really uncertain. That Neptune and Pisces kind of feeds that, our wanting to get it out of our body and scream about it. Mercury and Aries. I just need to rant about it, okay? I just need to talk to somebody about it, okay? We're going to need to feel like we need to get it out of our body, but it's not going to feel any better. It's out there and it's just bombarding us a little bit right now. So knowing if you find yourself in that space, like, gosh, what's wrong with me? Why am I feeling so fatigued? Like, what's going on? It's really that you're just very connected, very, very connected to the energies going around us right now and kind of where we're at astrologically and how that affects us as an organic creature. Even more so, if you look at your own birth chart specifically and line it up, it kind of becomes a math equation that you can balance it out. Like chlorine, like alkaline and base and acidity. Or Matt, he's the professional chemist. Matt is a chemist, guys. I have to remind myself of that. Like, we need to talk chemistry more. But stay focused. That's the alchemy part of this, is how to use this. So then April 1st. It's April already, guys. It'll be Monday, April Fool's Day. Careful what happens on Monday, April 1st. First thing is that the moon is in Capricorn. Thank goodness. It's moved finally through that space and into an earth sign, but kind of the arrogant earth sign. So if you're listening to me, Capricorns, you hear me. And it's sextile Mars in Pisces. So our will to fight being put through some water. I think of the messy, bubbly mess that is when you put water in your bacon grease. And our emotions might be a little flatter. How do you hear that?
Capricorn's achievement oriented. So now this is emotional space and trying to get something done. So this is gonna sound very similar again because this is emotionally now. We're going from I want to try something to I want to accomplish something. So they're probably related. This is probably a revisit of what we were just talking about the last couple of days, or a couple of days astrologically. It'll remove obstacles to. So sextile means removing kind of an obstacle to this action that could harm someone. So I feel like maybe after some thought, a new idea comes up and says, hey, if I do this, I can avoid the negative impact and still get what I want. So maybe on Monday, the light bulb goes off and you think of a way around this. Maybe after sharing what you were going to do and getting into an argument over it, you have a different idea. And so maybe keep your mouth shut on Sunday because you'll have a better idea on Monday of how to navigate it.
For sure. When our emotions move into an earth space and we can feel a little bit more rooted in thought, logic, reason, patience, quiet, it's Archangel Uriel. So to which we can be silent and pray, to go inward, I think is really a powerful space. And to know that when we do that, oftentimes obstacles will remove themselves. And so Monday morning, we wake up after Easter, all the kids full of sugar, and people got peeps in their pocket. And it's a new energy. It's a new fresh start. Emotions seem a little bit more calm. So if you're on a countdown, maybe wait until Monday, April 1st to judge yourself if you're feeling extra crazy. Um, One other thing happens on April 1st on Monday, and that is I've got it actually time stamped. I'm not sure why I have it particularly time stamped, but I do. And it is that the sun is in Aries, kind of first time we've mentioned the sun in a while, and it's squaring with the moon in Capricorn. So we've got the moon and sun squaring with each other. How do we feel about that?
So now I feel like Aries is impulsive, Sun's your external force, Moon's your internal world. So this is a conflict between kind of what you're projecting externally, what you want to do, and emotionally what you feel you should do. And this is interesting because it's impulse versus accomplishment. So I feel like this is a conflict between kind of the short game and the long game. So something that you may want to impulsively do in the short term that could derail your long-term goals. So I'd say keep your eye on the big picture and the long-term things, and don't do anything impulsive. Excuse me.
Yeah. Focus on the big picture, the panorama. I almost have to feel like, that Capricorn in my spirit guide space plays as a detective, like Dick Tracy, or someone that they seem like a small, pungent character with a bright yellow jacket, and you can't miss them. But the details of how a detective comes in, like, the Boondock Saints, is you get a completely different look. You have to kind of look at it from the big picture and take a step back and see what is it that we need to, again, Archangel Uriel, wait, be patient, pray about, think about, give time to. Don't be foolhardy, but I like that you said focus on the big picture. Guys, that's important for Monday, April 1st. So then we have April 2nd. That brings us full circle, and we might still have a few minutes to pull a few cards.
I'll be right back. I might have a guest. I'm still
Oh,
listening to you. I just don't want to be on camera doing what I'm.
you're fine. So then the next thing that's going to happen, and this is Tuesday, so it'll be a full 7 days, guys. A full 7 days from now is going to be the moon in Capricorn, still waning. So I always think, as a woman, subject to my menstrual cycle and hormones, knowing those phases waning, that means that I'm getting less and less emotional. Oh, we have a creature joining us. And so the moon in Capricorn sextile Saturn, the rules and regulations. I always think of Beyonce. Saturn in Pisces. So some more earth, water. So some mud here, but mud about the rules, maybe how we're supposed to feel. How am I supposed to feel navigating this new change? Matt, what do you think when you hear moon in Capricorn, sextile Saturn in Pisces?
Baby Aurora. He was a puppy rescued out of a construction dumpster. Yes.
Can't believe that.
And she's a puppy, so she was feeling lonely. So I wanted to let her in. And now she wants off my lap, but she wanted to come in and see me. All right. So moon and Capricorn, same thing. So we covered these already. So it's just kind of doing the relation between them all. So, emotionally wanting to accomplish something for the Capricorn piece. Saturn's rules. Pisces is kind of that sacrificial space. Sextiles removing obstacles. So this is kind of I would say, emotional push towards, again, doing something maybe rule wise that would be beneficial for others, but maybe not for yourself. Sorry.
Sure. Sorry, I've got a person asking me if they can make a fort thing.
And I have dogs going nuts here. I got to leave you for a second here. I think I got to let dogs out or something. Something's going on.
Let dogs out. we're having moments. I'm gonna finish strong. Look at me. I'm gonna finish strong as we get into the last few moments to be able to spend 5 minutes doing some tarot readings for you guys that have hung in there for us. The last thing to expect on Tuesday evening is that the moon, it's still waning. So again, less and less emotion, craziness, less and less chaos and how we feel, maybe less crazy dreams, even though we are approaching the eclipse. So the collective consciousness might screw that up. But the moon waning, trine Jupiter in Taurus. Guys, I love Jupiter. It's the Chris Farley of the planets for me. It's the me first and the gimme gimmies. Jupiter is the big boy. He's the gas giant. And anything he's doing, he wants to do more of it. Any constellation he's in, he's there to have fun. He's the pusher. He's the notorious BIG. And he's in Earth. So are some other planets right now. So he's joining some of those other spaces in Taurus specifically. And you also have Uranus in Taurus. So you've got all of this Earth energy. And Taurus specifically is like the Ferdinand the Bull. It's the middle of the grass. So it's the anchored, fixed fulcrum of the Earth signs. It's not going anywhere. Taurus isn't going anywhere. Capricorn's the leader, Virgo's the mutable, Taurus is in the middle. And he's decided, you know what? This is the way it is. I'm very stubborn about this. I've thought about it. I've done all that praying and meditating that Sarah said that I should do with Archangel Uriel. And it's Tuesday evening, and I want more. I want more. I want more. Give me more information, maybe more time, maybe more thought. Matt, what's going to be more of?
Well, I actually jumped in at the little bit at the end of that, so let me scroll through and say what you were going through because I was handling dog stuff.
Yeah, Jupiter and
Yeah,
Uranus and Taurus.
yeah. So this is that again. Just overall indulgent. What's the moon in? So the moon's in Cap still.
Yeah.
So this is yeah. Make sure you don't overindulge in whatever that goal. Again, Cap's very goal oriented, so this could be maybe going a little overboard on going after something. So don't decide you're going to do some business on the spur of the moment and blow a ton of money on I don't know, a certificate or something that you
Those
don't
tax
necessarily
money.
need. Yeah. And then also that trine Uranus and Taurus. So that's the also indulgent, but Uranus is rebelling. So it's that rebelling by not doing. So yeah, seeing all that Taurus energy, I just, yeah, that's tough. That's
A lot of
take the
greens.
relax part of that, but just put kind of a rein on how much you indulge because like
And I don't
you say the Neptune one gets you nervous. The Jupiter ones get me nervous, and Jupiter and Taurus is a nervous combo because it's just yeah.
pusher.
It's
I
the
always
Monty
just
Python. Do you ever see the Monty Python? I think it's the meaning of life, where the guy's eating and he's that giant, and they're like, "A mint, sir," and he's like, "No, I'll burst," and he like, but that's like Jupiter and Taurus.
were just watching
It's
that
just, it's
last
just,
night.
it's just glutting. You just, yeah, it's just gluttony. It is just gluttony
Oh,
energy.
it is, and it is, and it's the I want it now. I think of the instant gratification. I'm actually thinking a lot of the worldview with, I hate to say it, Matthew, don't cringe, but like Putin and Trump and Yahoo Wazoo man and all of these people that we've got coming in and out of our spectrum and in and out of our politics. Ruth, for you kind of chiming in on what in the world is going on right now. There's a lot of human trafficking discussions, and I think it comes down to autonomy. I think it, Matthew, comes down to identity, knowing yourself, knowing who, what, when, where, and why that you are who you are. And for people that aren't grounded or don't have a good sense of values for whatever reason, um, if they don't have or see the reason and opportunity to replace that or supplement it or gather it or create it, you start to dissolve into the nothing. And it is not a good space. People do weird and wild things when they don't know what they should be doing. And I don't know, that inserts power, that inserts change of control and authority. All these things that astrology tells us, this might be the fall of power, but it might be, of course, where one goes down, another replaces, right? There's almost like a natural water comes into that space and fills it. What will that be? What's in store for these new changes? Where are you going? And for people who are like, I don't know, I don't care, that Taurus energy can be dangerous versus I'm going to be a doctor, I'm going to be a hematologist, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then we have, dystopic world. And it's like, well, what are you going to do? You have to be somewhat flexible and not let it completely crush you. So we have 5 more minutes before we end the show. Matt, I don't know if you have there with Aurora's help any tarot cards on
I
your.
do have tarot cards. And now
You
this is
do.
Jack. This is the COVID pup.
Oh,
He
this
looks
is
very
Jack.
much like Aurora. They're like a dynamic duo. My daughter went
Yeah.
upstairs for something, so all my puppies are now lonely, and so they're coming in to bug me.
They said, we cannot be left. We cannot be left. I've got my deck. I've switched it up to my deck that I got in 2003. I've had it for a very long time. I love this deck. I've already pre-shuffled it. I'm ready. If anyone in the chat room would like a reading from Matt and I, we like to pull together. Samantha says, me, 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 me. I need a card right away. So I already have one for Sam. What do you have? Ooh.
Knight of Cups.
Oh, I have the Page of Cups.
We were close.
We're very close.
We haven't picked the same card in a while.
I know. We'll do it. We'll figure it out. That's how you know it's not staged. We should do it more often. So the Page of Cups, this is the intern position. I always think of the page as someone who they're there, they're ready. Samantha, especially for you, you have all the things, you have all the opportunity at your disposal, but you're not quite where you want to be. You're not, the leader of the band quite yet. And in the realm of cups, this would be your intuition and relationships. So it doesn't have to be romantic. It can be all the relationships in your life. But cups is pretty significant. And then when you couple it with Matt's card,
I do feel this is like a romance card. This is Knight. This is I don't know if the other one you look at it is if you go like family, like Paige is like the kid, Knight's like the teenager, the Queen's the mom, and the King's the dad. But I also view Knights as kind of like action oriented, and this is in cups, so this is emotion and action. So I actually take this as a romance card. So I don't know what your question was, but I got a romantic vibe from that combo.
Okay. And I like it when people don't tell us what their question is because
it's better that way. You just interpret it. Yep.
Yeah. And then we're not doing a cold reading, as they might say, where I go, is it that person in your life with the letter JSRQT? There it is. T, 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 T. I hate that. It just drives me nuts. Okay. So if another person would like a card really quickly before we go, we can always pull a card for the week ahead to just see what we think. I know that Maddie in the chat was interested in a card. And I know that we have 2 Samanthas, actually. We have Samantha R, and then we have a Samantha B, who is also interested in a reading. So let's pull one for Samantha B really quick.
Right.
So Samantha B, dang.
And we do this differently. Sarah shuffles and then picks off the top. I shuffle mine, and then I hold them and kind of get a vibe of where I should cut the deck, and then I take the top one. Ooh, I'm kind of on this one. What'd you get?
I got the 8 of Cups.
I got the Knight of Pentacles.
Ooh, again, like another series.
Responsibility, but not the life of the party. Kind of dull, but I get all the work done.
And this tentacle man, it's like Aquaman. They should have done this for Aquaman. That would have been crazy. But the 8 of Cups, I think of just the choices that one has and the give and take, the reciprocity of love and intention and joy and positive energy. So keeping that in mind when you're out there loving on people and growing your intuition, that you do it with good intention and that you get that back. Nishoba, I love that name. Nishoba says, man, please pull a card for me too. So I'm going to pull a card for you as well. I love that. It really does require permission. What do you got?
I'm getting all like court cards here. Page of Wands.
Man, I've got the 7 of Wands.
So Wands is action, and I always say Page is messenger. So I say this is a messenger of action.
The messenger of action. And when I think of the 7 of Wands, this is that person, they're either going up or coming down, and there's all these wands at the bottom. And is it like a hear ye, or is it a get her? Like, you don't know if it's a torch it situation or not. 7 is always kind of an odd numbered gamble, but of what you're doing, of what your action is, of what initiation you're engaging in. And as long as, again, that your intentions are good, people will follow in your footsteps. So take that role into leadership. You don't maybe feel at 70%, you've got it all, but you do. You have enough. So get in there. Nashoba, good luck to you on whatever endeavor you're embarking on. Um, all right, we're coming up on our time limit, guys. We do allow these shows, they recycle back on Odyssey Radio and Subsquare and Subspace Radio and all the places online that you can download your favorite iTunes and podcasts and things of that nature. So please share it with friends and family. Re-listen later if you feel like you may have missed something. If you would like a reading, if you would like an apocalyptic solar reading, contact Matt and Sarah today. We're always doing specials. And with the spring break and winter craziness being snowed in, I would love to use this time to line up your guys' birth chart, do a reading with Matt. We like to work together and send you over a file or two to give you some guidance or answer some questions. So let us know if you want. Get a hold of us any way that you are tuning in now. Just message us directly. I'll put in the chat room how they can get a hold of you, Matt. But what else am I missing?
I think you got most of it. I was on mute because they're going nuts. As I said, they're lonely, so they're trying. I think they're trying to say, "Hey, come out here. Something's going on."
Lonely. They are. They're saying, Dad, we hear you. It is a crazy time. The Paranormal Sarah at Gmail or mslosier at yahoo.com. Guys, we do hope that you will tune in next week. We will be covering the April craziness, and that you bring a friend, bring a coffee, and join us as often as possible. Guys, thank you for tuning in to Astrology and Alchemy. See you later.
Have a good night, everyone.